These Wuthering Waves all head back to one place, and that is the keeper of shores herself, Shorekeeper. And let me tell you, Shorekeeper is a character that you will want to be keeping on your account. One thing's for sure, Verina is the most wanted character in the game thanks to her universal buffing, quick concerto gain, and healing. But at the end of the day, she's a standard character. Just what is a limited 5-star healer going to bring to the table? The entire freaking ocean. That's what. I'm Void Enigma, and I'll be going over just how busted Shorekeeper is, and what to expect from her. I'll be talking about her builds, skills, weapons, and sequences, as well as her best teams. Now then, let's set sail in the ocean and end up on the shores, because this is the character that you won't want to miss. Shorekeeper is a spectro 5-star rectifier user, and she will be a healer and supportive character on your team. She has a similar concerto gauge build-up like Verina, and she can transform into this cute little butterfly. Quite fun to actually move around the world like this. Now, as Verina is a character that doesn't do a whole lot of damage, Shorekeeper functions more as a sub DPS and will want a little more field time. With that being said, she will be doing damage to compensate for her field time and offers some amazing buffs. I won't go all the way into details, but she has these butterflies and they do delayed damage that can happen off field when you hit the opponent with them. Nice. When this thing here gets filled, you can use your heavy attack for more damage as well as more delayed damage. Nice. Next up, make sure that you use her Resonance Liberation because this is where all of her buffs come from. It will last for 30 seconds and will leave quite a nice field around. Now, she can heal in 3 ways. From her Resonance skill, from her Liberation every 3 seconds for a micro healing, and with her intro skill. She can also save your current on-field character from death by sacrificing her own HP if you get hit with a massive attack. The field does way more than just heal, however. When you trigger an intro or outro skill, it will level up the entire field. So ideally, you want to start your rotation with Shorekeeper, and then when you trigger your first intro skill, she'll buff crit rate by 12.5%, and then when you trigger your next intro skill, she'll buff crit damage by 25%. This buff scales off of her energy recharge, and in order to reach the max potential, you will need 250 energy recharge, or more so 240%, because she does get a free 10% energy recharge from one of her inherit skills. Think of it this way, for every 10% energy recharge, you will get 1% crit damage and 0.5% crit rate, all the way up to 12.5% and 25%. That's the easiest way to think about it. We're not done though, because when you trigger her outro buff, she provides another cool tech. Basically, when you get hit, juggled, launched, synonym, yeeted, you can dodge, and you will trigger a perfect dodge. This is a really cool recovery option, and you can instantly trigger a counter attack as well. She also grants a 15% damage amp to boot, and that's for the entire team. So yeah, great things. You'll definitely be wanting to use this every 30 seconds. Now, I know that's a lot of information, but her kit is really packed. Once you play her though, it will be very easy to understand. The whole thing goes like this. Stack up her concerto, trigger her liberation, outro out of her, then into the next character, outro out of then the field is fully buffed and you're good to go at full power. But, oh, did I mention that if you actually use your intro skill into her again during this period, she has the most majestic intro skill? The thing about this is, it's guaranteed to crit, and it will do decent damage. And it also has some pretty good healing, but you might not always want to use it depending on how you actually want to use your intro buffs, because this will actually completely stop the buff from her liberation, so you'll definitely want to activate the liberation directly after triggering this when you actually get back on Shorekeeper. Another thing to keep in mind is how you've gotten this far in the video and haven't left a like. That's crazy, isn't it? Go ahead and like this video, would ya? Alright, let's talk about her echoes and what to prioritize when building her. Now, she has some requirements, keep that in mind, but you can actually get around those requirements quite easily. You will want 140% energy recharge from her echoes and weapon to max her buff, and that could be achieved in quite a few ways. For now, let's talk about Variation, the best 4-star rectifier for her. I'll touch more on her other weapons in the weapons section, but Variation provides 50% energy recharge, which is a substantial amount. While her signature offers her an extra 27% over this, it might not be in your best interest to get her signature, but we'll go over that a little bit later. With the two 3-cost echoes being at level 25, you'll get about 32% energy recharge per, and that will give you a total of 125% energy recharge from all of this. Meaning, she would need a total of roughly 3 energy recharge rolls from her substats. With that, and the variation, she will reach that goal very easily, and anything beyond 250% is unneeded. With her signature weapon, you won't actually have to get those substats, and you can probably end up getting an HP main stat artifact instead of an energy recharge for the 3-cost echo instead. Now, for the main 4-cost echo, you're gonna want healing bonus. I mean, what else are you gonna do? She's a healer. If you do want to build more into her attack though, you can build her with more HP if you end up getting some sequences on her. You can either use the new amazing Orda echo, or you can use a bell. Either one works, and one is more defensive, being the bell, and the other one is more offensive, so take your pick. Against holograms, the bell will be better, but in the tower, maybe you want to go Orda all the way. Other than that, she wants HP percent and liberation damage to get the most out of her from the substats, as well as maybe resonant skill damage and basic attack, but those aren't going to be as useful. Now, Shorekeeper quite literally has 2 weapon options, period. Technically 3, but if you're using the Comet Flare, you will be greatly crippling her overall potential. For that reason, the variation is her best option, and honestly, if we compare it to her signature weapon, it's very similar in performance. I'll be brutally honest, of all the signature weapons that have been released, I highly recommend that you skip hers. Firstly, compared to variation, you trade about 25% less energy recharge for 8 Concerto energy, and in most cases, the Concerto energy is going to be much more valuable to have, and what you lose from her signature weapon to variation is so minimal that it's ridiculous. You lose, get this, 12% HP, which is 1 substat roll, and a team-wide 14% attack buff. Now, I love my attack buffs, but that ain't bringing home any rewards. If you're one of those cosmetic chasers, then her weapon does look good, but is it really worth the 70 pulls that you're going to need to get it when variation does more or less the same job? You will eventually get variation to max refinements as you progress through the game, and it just works perfectly on Shorekeeper and helps you get the outro off a lot sooner. So, in my humble and honest opinion, just stick with variation. Now, let's discuss the crew of the Keeper of the Shores of these Wuthering Waves, so let's dive right into the team options. The thing is, she literally works in every team. She's a universal healer, a universal buffer, literally she fits like a glove anywhere. Not only is she beautiful, but she is as free as a butterfly because she flies into any team and automatically makes them better with her universal buffs and amazing liberation skill. She is better in quick swap teams because you'll want to trigger many intro and outro skills for her ult, so characters like Chun-Li, Jin-Chi, and Shen Liao will really love to have her, but she is quite literally good everywhere. She's just a quote-unquote better Verina who takes a little more field time. While Verina may be able to get that outro skill up sooner, she's gonna do more damage and provide a little bit more buffs. But that's not to downplay Verina, because Verina is just as good. She just offers a little more utility over Verina, and she does build Concerto a little slower, but again, she has the damage to compensate for it. Shorekeeper's sequences are actually pretty good overall, but I really wouldn't recommend going for them because she is perfectly functional without any extra sequences. Her S1 will actually give her quite a few benefits of more healing and more buffs. It'll extend the duration of her Resonance Liberation, and when you actually trigger that coolest shit intro skill, well, now it doesn't actually end the state of her Resonance Liberation. Her S2 gives the entire team a 40% attack buff, which is actually a lot. If her weapon gave that, then I could actually recommend it, but again, it doesn't. Now, her S3 causes the Resonance Liberation to actually give 20 Concerto energy to Shorekeeper, making her way more quick on actually triggering those intro and outro buffs. And her S4 gives her a hell of a lot more healing bonus when she actually casts a Resonance skill, causing more healing overall. Now, her S5 extends the range of the effects that actually pulls in with the stage 3 of her basic attack, you know, her Concerto thing. Don't really worry too much about it, it just increases her overall damage. And her S6, boy, her S6. Her S6 turns her intro skill, that actually gets triggered with her liberation, into a goddamn nuke. You are going to get this, 500% crit damage on that. So it's going to be doing a ton of damage. It also increases the overall multiplier of her intro skill, or intro liberation skill as well. Overall, S1 is a nice stopping point. S2 if you really like her, but I wouldn't really recommend getting any of her sequences because they're just decreasing Shorekeeper's damage. If you want to go up to S6 and get that huge nuke, then by all means go for it, but you know. Now, if there's one character that you want to get in Wuthering Waves, it's going to be Shorekeeper. She is quite literally the first meta-defining character to come out in this game, and she will be future-proof for quite some time. She and Verina will finally allow you to clear the tower without a sweaty Baiji or Jianjin run. It's a good thing that her weapon is very much skippable as well, so you can save for the really best character of version 1 of the game, Camellya. Camellya's the best. I mean, you could save for, you know, any future character beyond that. Yeah. Good luck, Shorekeeper pullers, and make sure to stand on the shores and get your keeper. Go ahead and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and remember to leave a like for the algorithm. This has been Void Enigma, and until next time, Enigma